So in today's episode of the Real University, we will be talking about the process of moving out at the end of the semester, the flow, and how it go. I'm so corny. So Tyan and Mia, Tyan and I were having a conversation about her preparing to move out with her son for his now sophomore year of college. He is going into his junior year. I can't believe it. And Tyan has a full schedule in her mind of, of how this is supposed to work. So I took Tyan back into the world that she lived in when I remember hearing her mother talk about Tyan when we were moving her into Lincoln, and then Tyan when we moved her into Morgan. And I just had to let her know. I said, you're sounding a little Olinda-ish, but it's okay. I said, because at the end of the day, this plan you have in your mind, we know today we know that this plan is not going to go the way you plan. So here we are, the Real University, bringing you real life in real time, the parent edition today, because parents, are you ready for retarded time schedules, a million U-Hauls, overpacked cars, expensive plane tickets, and a family trip that you just don't want to take, moving your kid from school back to home for that small month time? What is that, 3 months? Is it 3 months, 2 months?
It could be 2.5, 3.
3 months.
It depends on where the kids are
going
after they leave. Some of them are going for fellowships. Some of them are going to internships. Some of them have to get stuff from one place to keep it there, but then still have to prepare to have things to go in a totally different direction.
Ladies and gentlemen, do we see how Tyan, this is called PTSD that Tyan has, just talking about it. You see how she just drifted. So I'm going to hand over this entire conversation to Tyan
and when I say don't leave me by myself, it's because
she said
the success of a move is having somebody else with you to keep you sane.
And you know what? For 5 seconds, I started to ask you, did you want me to ride down there with you? And the only reason I didn't is because I said to myself, she ain't going to have no room. She don't need another body. She don't need another body in that car. And then she don't want to have to say she ain't going to have no room. And I don't know if I want to stand by and try to defend poor Chaz, because that's what's going to end up happening. And then Tyan cussed me out. So Tyan, I need for you to share your plan of action with everybody.
So I'm
giving all the rules because I'm going to shut up. And then we're going to come behind that with the real of how this conversation really needs to go, because that's what happened to us yesterday. And then we're going to give suggestions on things that folks can do so that they don't end up stressed about this situation. Okay, take it away, partner. Take it away.
So from lifelong learning and being that person that had to be moved to actually being a professional project manager who actually happens to know how to project manage her life, because this should be easy. But let me pull forward some of the real. The actual problem as of right now with the planning is because we still don't know when that last final is going to take place.
Oh, okay. So the university.
That's one thing that is out of our control, but that's the real on HBCU.
Right. You just can't. Right.
How do you set an academic calendar?
Well, when do they get out of school? When is the last day of school?
This is the good part. Graduation commences the Saturday that all of the kids have to be out of the residence halls. But wait.
I know you lied.
But wait.
No, they did not.
Wouldn't you end classes a whole week before? Because won't some of those students that are graduating be waiting on some of those grades to know that they can walk? I know that's how it was back in our day.
Wait.
They're literally having finals up until the last day of graduation. How do you do that?
She's giving me new information here. I did not know this. We were discussing this yesterday. So you mean to tell me that the day that the students graduate is the same day that students have to be out of the dorm?
The students have to be out of the dorm the day before graduation.
But when we went to school, we weren't even finished school until the week after graduation.
So, but actually, when I think about it in hindsight, because remember, the reason why my mother mostly had an attitude when she came to pick me up was because her birthday was always on when she had to pick me up, but that was also graduation week. So for underclassmen, but the graduates had already been all settled and ready to go. But underclassmen could move out in that week. But what he still does not have is his final schedule. So when we had syllabuses back in the day, and again,
at the beginning of the school semester,
at the beginning, which told you down to the week when your finals would be. But all this technology we got out here, and you still do not have a date for your final. So that's the one thing.
Maybe they made that schedule during Mercury retrograde.
Maybe. I don't know. But that's the one thing, because I would have loved to come down and say, on Wednesday, we are packing you up and we're driving you back. But he may have a final on Wednesday. He's still waiting to hear when he would have a final. Why does your faculty and staff not only have a syllabus that has dates or at least weeks or duration attached to it? Is this something new?
I'm going to go with it was created during Mercury retrograde 4000, Alex.
Okay.
What is they created the schedule during Mercury for retrograde?
So that is one. So with that, this is also my issue. I was not able to capitalize off of the cheap flights because I didn't know exactly when I could come in. So now airfare has gone up, because what I was going to do as a twist to make this really easy was I would fly in, get him packed up while he was taking his final. Mm-hmm. And then we would be ready to go. And quite honestly, if that was making the decision as to whether or not we were putting things in storage, and then the particular airline we would be on, I could have 2 check bags and 2 carry-ons. He could have 2 check bags and 2 carry-ons. And we would figure all of this out on the plane.
So now, plan number 1 was to fly down, fly back.
Fly down and fly back. That was plan number 1.
That was the easiest way. And I think that we need to just make sure that we say this out loud, that some parents, a lot of parents, are determining how they're going to get out of town to pick up their kid from school, because we all know that all of our kids don't go to school in the town in which we live. Some of these parents have to travel across the country. Some of these parents have to travel an hour away. Some of these parents have 13-hour car rides, depending on whether or not they have to go down to pick it up. So this is a really big deal. And that is truly the reason why, all jokes aside, this is a great conversation. Tanya, you bring to it something that no one takes into consideration, the academic schedule and how it affects the move out.
Exactly.
Well, we need to make sure we tag some of these universities in this, because this is something that's really big. I mean, it might not be affordable for some parents to wait until the end, and the only way they can get to their kid is to fly. Now, I'm not saying that colleges have to take that into consideration, but if your academic calendar is created at the beginning of the year, it gives parents a whole year to figure it out, right?
Not only parents, but students, because remember, that whole academic calendar is contingent upon how you can accept any internships or fellowships. Because what if you literally have to be somewhere right when school ends? So we had that conversation, because if he wanted to attend summer school, it's like, okay, then if you want to attend a second summer session somewhere, we have to stay close to this academic calendar to know when I can get you from there, and then when you're available to start. Also, his employment, because in the short window that he will actually be at home, let's make some money while you're there. So you need to let your potential employer know when you can start.
Right.
So again, I have it narrowed down to the week, but again, some parents don't have the luxury to stay 2 days in a place to wait for their child to be ready.
Correct. Okay. So those are all great points. And I think we're going to make sure we follow up with some things that you can do to help yourself when it comes to that price point. But I really have to. I don't know, it's because I just feel the need to have to laugh today, and I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing with you. But I really want to get into how this planning in your mind goes versus what's really going to happen. So I need just share with us, friend.
Well, listen,
share with the village.
Listen,
we share plan A. I need you to share plan B, please.
We all know our children. And again, because of his, what I felt would be maturity in this space last year, you know, when I said, hey, I'm coming in hot. And I broke up my drive. So I spent the night in one place and then I got up early to drive. And I said, hey, I'm coming in. Be ready. I pulled up to that campus at noon. Mind you, they had to be out of their rooms by 4 p.m. He rolled down one suitcase and put it in the trunk and said, did you bring the other suitcase? Did you ask me to bring another suitcase? And please say that, and why, with all of these big bins out here, are you rolling down one suitcase? Well, I still have some packing to do. You were supposed to be packed up 2 days ago. And literally me and a couple other parents are standing there looking at our kids like, you are actually not ready. And then please remember, not only do you have to pack up your stuff, but guess what else these kids are supposed to do so that they won't get fined?
Clean the room.
Clean the goddamn room. I go in there, he hadn't even unplugged the refrigerator. How are we going to take a refrigerator home with ice all accumulated around the freezer, food still in it? Are these things I really had to tell you? When we brought the refrigerator here, did it have ice and food in it?
Okay.
Totally not prepared. And I'm here and we got 4 hours to do this and you still got stuff to pack up. You talking about heated. And then mind you, and I know this isn't everybody's situation, but my child doesn't drive. So the reason why I broke up the drive is because it was at least a minimum 7 hour and I would have to drive the full way. So I had to drive the whole full way back. And mind you, the route that I was taking to avoid holiday traffic, because it just so happens that he stayed a little while and took a summer class, and I was butting up against Memorial Day traffic. So the GPS took me a back route. That back route, there was not one place that I felt comfortable pulling over to lay my head. So guess who had to push through?
Push it to the limit. I push and I push.
That was a push through. And guess who got a ticket? I got a ticket. So mind you, the expenses that come with these moves. Right. The rental car, because I had to rent something bigger, because this time we had to move all his stuff back. The $200.50 speeding ticket that I got.
Whose fault was
that? The road. Mind you, again, I broke the trip up when I came. So the hotel stayed the night before.
Mm-hmm.
So this is starting to add up.
Mm-hmm.
These moves back and forth are not cheap. So not only do you have to plan your time, you have to plan and budget appropriately.
Right.
So parents,
absolutely.
Let's also look at ways to make this cost effective. And this is another reason why I go back to saying, when you are looking at schools for your children, try to make sure you've got friends or relatives there. Even though we went the relatives route, but right now my relatives don't have space to accommodate him. So that could happen. So the plan B is always storage, but then you also have to remember that you have to get the stuff from the residence hall or wherever they're living to storage.
Right.
And then storage, they know that this is a prime time.
So they charge way more.
They charge way more. And then also the storage facilities that are closest to these campuses fill up fast. So you got to be you got to plan that out. You got to be one of the first ones. or you're just stuck with where I think I'm going to be, driving down, bringing all of this stuff back.
But you could, so Village. I had this conversation the other day, and I said, Tyan, go ahead and just book the storage now. You know that's what you need. Go ahead, but look at the
and matter of fact, I put that responsibility on the person's possessions that we would be storing.
And did he do it yet?
I have a follow-up, but
send me his number.
When we talked about it last, it was on his list. At least he has a list.
I think that we need to. So the lesson I had for today was that forcing people to do something that they're not great in can sometimes backfire on you, and you end up paying the price.
It can, but we have to go back to, they have to learn for themselves
how to,
but then also it's depending on how you're setting boundaries. Is it not my circus, not my monkeys today?
But this is your circus and your monkey, not calling him a monkey, but he's your baby. So it is your circus. It's your monkey. It's your concession stand. It's your clowns. It's your 3 rings. It's your little tiny car. It's the entire thing. You own the circus right now. Okay. You own it. You claim taxes on it. You pay the bill for it. You pay all. Yes, it is yours. And again, not calling the baby a monkey because it's not a monkey, but you know what I'm saying. So yes. And this is you forcing him to be great in a space that he's not quite great yet. Now, yesterday, I took on the idea of those who can't hear must feel. And I said that because my answer was, well, just don't buy a ticket. And if you end up going out of town before you get them, then that's what it is.
Again, that not my circus, not my monkey approach, but I'm going to make sure that he's okay. So I think my plan at this point would be, what I can do, I'm actually looking into I'm trying to make this as relaxing as possible. So I'm now looking at taking the train down there and then renting a car to come back. And then renting the car is, if I have to take stuff to storage, we'll do that. But the one thing that I ask of him is just be ready when I get there. Just be ready.
Right. And so that might be the lesson that we need to make sure he learns this year. Like his only lesson, his only responsibility needs to be him making sure that he's packed up. So that if that's his only responsibility, then when we get off, when we finish recording this episode, you're going to look online and find the closest storage unit, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to book it. Go Cosby hands.
Now, I'm going to say this. So I'm speaking from a perspective of my personal journey with my son in this. I'm going to say with my own personal journey, and I'm going to give advice to those that have females. Because remember, females have a tendency to have more things. I was one of those more things person. Remember when we talked about you guys moving me into Lincoln? Do you know I had absolutely no room to sit in the car, and it was just me and my mother making sure that I got there. I mean, I had stuff in the footwells in the front. We had stuff and back in the day, we were in a Lincoln Continental 6-seater. That car
and remember, this was before Walmart's existed, and before Targets existed, and before that area. So Lincoln was one of those areas that wasn't highly developed either. So there was nothing that was close. But
also keep in mind, you actually accumulate more throughout the school year. You buy more clothes and things like that. Now, the good thing that he was able to do, he did come home for a conference, so he brought a few articles of clothing that he wasn't wearing and things like that to make the load a little lighter. But remember, and now this generation is hyper focused on decor and comfort. So these little grass walls and lights and things that they have in the room, baby, what you gonna do with all of that?
Good question.
So those that have a lot more things, and I speak to the girls that are bringing 30 pairs of shoes. I used to be the girl that was bringing 30 pairs of shoes. I just did.
You had to have mine.
All of those other comforts of home, that's a lot of stuff. So that's not just SUV, large SUV or large white van. That could be one of those Home Depot moving.
Exactly.
A moving van, a small moving van. That's another expense that you have to plan for, because the one thing that you don't want to do is pull up and the vehicle that you have is too small, because then what you're going to do, either the stuff has to be left behind or thrown away.
Right. And so I'm trying to keep light of it, because it's something that all of the parents and students are about to encounter. And it definitely is something that so many people do monopolize off of. We talk about storage facilities. We talk about rental facilities. We talk about the stores around in the neighborhood. All of a sudden, those totes they increase. There's a lot of people who benefit off of this process. What I think is fair for parents is that, like many things in school, your kid is going through this for the first time, and it might be the second time, because they're learning lessons. By the time they graduate, they got it. But your freshman, your sophomore, your junior is like, have a little bit of grace. By junior year, a lot of parents the kids convince the parents let them live off campus. So having to move and do all those things does get eliminated, because even parents start to see the value of them having a place off campus, because these things are not required. But have a little grace with them, parents, because it's all new to them. A lot of times, they just don't know how to strategically pack things. They don't know how to purge things. They don't know how to plan things. They don't know how to order things. They don't know how to do a lot. Even though they act like they do, they don't.
Another piece of real advice for those students who decided to move off campus: did you think about whether or not you want to stay in your apartment, which means that you have to stay in the city that you're in for the summer, because you have not negotiated your lease, or you have not sublet. So these, again, when we go back to those pros and cons of living on and off campus, what are you going to do for those 3 months?
Right, we got to stay here
because you signed a lease.
They don't think about that part, because they're excited because they just signed their first lease.
There you go.
So here we go. We got to stay right here. They're not good at that part yet. So parents, don't leave them out there to do that by themselves. And let's be real, there's a lot of kids who don't have parents or anyone to guide them through that process either, because of whatever the circumstances are. But there's so much they don't realize. So even though we're talking about that move out process, obviously this could fully go into a conversation about having their first apartment, and how to negotiate your lease for your first apartment. Are you going to stay there when you graduate? Because if you don't, you immediately graduate with debt and own another complex money at the same time. So your credit is shot within months of graduating. So there's a lot of ways it could go, but I think bringing love and light to the conversation, our purpose is, there's a lot of planning and a lot of strategy that it goes into this. It's the first time for them. It's the first time for you. And even if you are someone who went to college and went through this process, you're now dealing with your mini you.
It's different every time, and everyone is different, because actually I spoke with another parent who has a daughter that attends the same school as my son. She drives. So again, you could put that responsibility on someone who has a car and can kind of get back and forth. It makes it a little easier. Mm-hmm. But again, weighing the pros and cons, because if you have a car when you're in college, there's a whole set of responsibilities that comes with owning a car there.
Yep. Parking. Monthly fee, parking.
The fact of the matter that everybody knows you have a car, you're the residence hall or the apartment complex Uber for everyone. Right. If you don't know how to, again, increased insurance and other responsibilities. But it does, I will say this, them having cars does make it easier on the parents.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, you can put on them moving everything into storage.
Yeah.
And then unless they live across country, and a lot of the ones who live across country, they're still young and they will do it. They driving home.
And again, to make love and light of this, you know how everybody's excited a lot of the times that their sibling, their grandbaby is in college and they want to see the college experience. So everybody wants to pile in to go pick them up. The
Until
more
it's time
people
to
that
move
pile
out.
in that car to pick you up, the less room that you have stuff to
The
take home.
less room that you have. Just the
So
things we got to think about.
So if the family want to come, bring 2 cars.
Bring another car.
Bring 2 cars.
Bring another car because you're going to need it. You're going to need it. And I think that this was really great. I think, again, just paying attention to things. What your budget's going to look like when it comes to moving. How much time do you have with regards to, because, parents are negotiating. They're having to manage when the kid gets out, when they can take off for work. A lot of times these move outs don't happen on the weekends, which is something else that's crazy, right? You got to do it during the week.
They don't do it on the weekends because that spring move out is literally bumped up against graduation all the time. And so the way that Morgan, not only is Morgan doing graduation, they're also doing alumni week. So staff and everybody's all hands on deck.
Homecoming?
Huh?
Is this
alumni
the makeup
week? It's where it's spring alumni week where your class actually gets acknowledged. It's not necessarily homecoming, but like spring, because mostly a lot of people will be there for graduation. So the faculty is all hands on deck with preparing the campus for graduation and those events. They ain't thinking about at the residence halls.
Gotcha.
That's the RAs and the RDs responsibilities and the kids that are in those residence halls responsibilities. So again, the campus is already abuzz with a lot of activity. So it's actually a stressful period on campus. So you got actually, to your point, I need to go in Zen. And that's why I said
listen,
train down and just.
All I'm telling you is, you come in. You go pick up that U-Haul, you pull it on up, pack that thing up. And listen, he might have a roommate that needs storage. Y'all could go in on half on the storage.
Well, that's part of I'm working on it. It's supposed to be a group of them going in together.
So they've been talking about it.
This is where the Olinda in me kicks in. Because one of the first things that she would say is, worry about your own ass.
Right. We're talking about
when you start relying upon other people to do things, that's where, again, especially if you don't know them in their capacity, and if they can afford the rent or who's actually going to make the payment on the storage for everybody that month, it's one of those things where you may just want to go in and do some things yourself.
Right, which is a good point. But I think we might need to put a signal out there, a little bat signal out there for all the parents who may need some help. Chime in, let us know. What do you need? What are you thinking? What's your plan?
What's suggestions?
Where you at? Oh, you got
plans? Here are lifelong learners too. I am open to any suggestions.
Yes. Maybe we need to just, chime in. What do you need? It's at the end of the day, it's coming, and you can't leave them there. So what are you going to do
if you love them properly?
Right.
If you love them properly, and I just so happen to make sure me and mine are properly loved.
Yes, he's properly loved and all the things, and he will learn, as many of these, hopefully our students will learn, but it's also a learning curve for our parents. I remember how my sister, now I didn't live on campus. I lived off campus in a house. I had 2 roommates and wasn't going through all that. But my sister did live on campus. And what I remember is year 1 looking way different than year 2 from my dad. Now, my father, he was older. My mother was, she rides like Cleopatra on the Nile anytime. So she's never stressed. She never has to do anything. And that, bless her little heart, living to love to grow like her, to be like her. But my father got to the point where he was okay with ordering the furniture there and leaving it there too. But also, Megan went to school in the year of Walmart and IKEA existing. See, these stores did not exist when we were in school. So, things are different. But my father had the patience of Job, and he would just wait. And parents, you too have graduated, or you too have completed a semester of your kid not being at home, you having all of the worries, they're coming home to you. There's a lot of things. So anything that you can do to speak non-stress into your life, do it. Let's talk about it. What do you need?
And remember, reach out to those that, might need assistance. Because Mia, you remember your house was always the main stop on the pickup. And every time my mother brought either a different girlfriend, I remember one time Leroy came with us. One time my grandmother came with us. One time my mother's girlfriend Tonette came with us. Yep. One time it was my mom's friend Georgia and her daughter Misha. That was the move into Morgan. But there was also different people because, again, just like my drive is a little shorter than my mom's was, but my mother was a 10-hour drive. And one thing, again, being properly loved, I didn't know until later, my mother was definitely afraid of driving across bridges and trying to get, once you get past those Allegheny Mountains, that big old bridge.
Ain't nothing but bridge.
And she was terrified. So she always had to have somebody come with. Remember the year she brought Daryl with her?
Daryl.
And if y'all don't know who Daryl is, that was my boyfriend at the time.
I was surprised that it even happened. I ain't gonna lie.
I was surprised, and literally,
now you know how much distress she was really in. Cause baby.
And literally, I'm like, I don't know what my mother is gonna say to this man on the way. I don't know how she's gonna agree because that's a whole 8 hours. Yeah. And then the funny part was when we got to your house and had everything packed up, your dad was like, okay, everybody's gonna sleep there. My mother's like, no, he's sleeping down in the basement.
In the basement.
Tyon, you go upstairs. Like,
oh, Linda, bless her heart. Bless her heart.
He stayed with me a full 2 years after that.
Bless her heart. Bless her heart. So I hope this was helpful. I think, if anything, to just bring some joy and smiles to the topic. Parents, you are getting ready. I had a parent call me last week. Mia, listen, where you gonna be? You gonna be in Atlanta? I just need to come to you before I start the process because I know it's gonna be something. I said, sis, come find me. Because whatever happened, she literally, her daughter has to fly home, fly back to school. She's in a show. That's what it is at the end of the year. Fly back to school. Then her mom has to go back home, get the car, drive down. It's like it's a whole lot of moving parts. It's like a Rubik's
Like
cube.
I said, that was the other part, knowing that he has a fellowship. He's also trying, and in his defense, he's also planning for a summer away, getting transportation, making sure that he's comfortable there. So we've actually got 2 things to plan for within this whole scheme of moving in and out of school. And then remember, I'm trying to make it most convenient so that as soon as he gets back from his fellowship, literally we're packing up and going right back down there again. And what makes that easier? Because this will be that junior year. What makes that easier? And I mean, I'm still a single mom.
Right. Right. So I pray for you all. We're going to bring retrograde is almost over. So hopefully it'll be spring of flowers popping up and smiley faces and purple horseshoes and green clovers and all the other good
blue
stuff.
Diamonds.
Purple, blue, all the good stuff to bring great energy to all of our parents and our students who are moving away or moving back home from their spring semester in college. So I would love for people to chime into this one to just kind of see where they are. If you need a prayer, let us know. We'll lift you up. If you need some advice, let us know. We got you. Hit us in the DM, however you need to communicate with us. But we're here. This is Mia and Tyon, the Real University, bringing you light and love and all things to our villagers who are our followers. And we appreciate you. Have a great day.